Just nonsense.
Nonsense.
Yeah. Okay, I'm going to turn... Sorry, guys, for the confusion on my part. It isn't really confusion. It's just the 99 buttons I need to push before I get going. So that's that. I'm going to maximize the Zoom meeting. I'm talking to myself, and I'm leaving notes to myself along the way, even though I'm 43 seconds into recording. But that's okay, because nobody's listening because I haven't hit live yet. All right, everybody good? Cool. I always love to do this. This is the part of the show I always love to do because Paul hates it.
Oh, that's your new jam. It wasn't loud enough.
The Packfiller podcast is about to begin. You can always follow the show through Instagram, Twitter, and even Facebook if you're still into that sort of thing. The show is streamed live every Tuesday at 6 o'clock Pacific on our Packfiller Productions YouTube channel, as well as on the Podbean app. You can call the show directly from Podbean and chat along in the discussion on both platforms. Now let's get to the Packfiller podcast. I know that Paul hates that, and that's the only reason why I'm going to keep that theme, that music in the background forever and ever and ever.
You know, Pat wrote that.
I know.
On Guitar Hero.
No, on GarageBand.
Oh, Garage.
Thanks, Jack. Thanks a lot. Hey, before we begin Club Packfillers Live, everybody, our membership program is underway. We're rolling things out starting this moment, right now, today. Take a look at our website for the overall view of the plan. Membership packages start at just $1 per month. Shit you not, $1 per month and max out at $10 a month. So if you know, there's all kinds of things. You guys, benefits including sponsor discounts, race entry discounts, or flat out free. Access to member-only content, free swag, including casquettes, which I didn't know they were called casquettes until I found out that cycling caps are called casquettes, and I've been doing this sport for 40 years. Clothing, stickers, etc. In-person and online rides, online members-only social media groups, just to name the beginning. So come be a part of the Packfiller Club. Packfiller starts right now. I got the sales pitch out of the way. And another month is upon us. The month Lewis Black refers to as the most depressing month of the year. Why is February so short? Because it's February. Welcome to another episode of the Packfiller. I'm Pat Bulger, and we have a full studio, as well as online members for tonight's panel discussion. I think I'm going to call it, it's technically like an Oregon against Washington episode. Because we got 3 people in the panel, including...
He's a transplant, though. He's really Washington blood.
Well, so is Jackson. Quit playing semantics with me.
Oh,
we've got 3 people who reside in Oregon,
expatriates,
and 3 people who reside in Washington. So let's get to this, shall we? First is let's introduce the entire panel here. First is a guest who's been on the show before, but definitely deserves an introduction. She writes, she speaks, she rides, and if it is about the sport, she probably knows a lot more than we do. She automatically makes the panel a great deal more legitimate. So let's welcome back to the show, Mariah Rook. How are you?
I'm really well. Thanks for having me back.
Yeah, thank you. Next, he's not only our social media manager, but our in-house model. Let's welcome Jackson Bulger.
That's a introduction that I will never have for the rest of my life, but thank you very much.
Everybody's seen your picture in the hats and stuff like that. So, it's just like, he's so cute. That's my boy. In the studio, I'm pretty sure, for perhaps the second time ever, he keeps having a squinting face. Are your headphones too loud or something?
No,
too tight.
This is my resting bitch face.
Okay, yeah. You got to pull that mic a little closer to your face. That red thing is what makes the show work.
Hello.
You might know him as the Diva, but we all love him and know him as Karsten Hagen. How are you, man?
I'm excellent.
Good.
Good to be here.
Good. Let's see. Where are we? Oh, Jack Broadhead, the guy who's being peer pressured to actually become a born-again cyclist. How are you, man?
I'm good.
Yeah?
I doubled my miles.
Yeah.
I doubled my miles this
go.
weekend.
You did?
From last year, yeah.
Did you see
it was on Instagram. Yeah.
And last but not least, the guy who believes rollers make you look more cool than old, Paul Main. How are you, dude?
Doing all right.
Panel, you guys, thanks for being here. I'm calling you panel because there are too many, and I don't want to address you all immediately one at a time. But thanks, guys, for being here. Karsten, do I need to get you some pans to play with or something like that so you feel at home?
cook dinner.
I'm hungry. I can make some dinner for us all.
You could?
Yeah, I could.
Carson's famous for banging pots and pans together and roasting red peppers during the podcast, but there we go. The Cyclocross Worlds happened, you guys, and I'm going to screw up the name, and somebody's going to have to help me because it's early season, so Etoile de Bessèges, am I close? Mariah, you might be able to help me. Am I even close by saying that race name?
No, you were actually really close.
Really? Dear Diary. Okay, it's happening tomorrow, but most importantly, before we get to everything, and Mariah, since I have you there, and I saw a post from you recently on social media, and I don't mean to call you out, but this is where I usually ask everybody who's riding and how often are they riding, and I saw something where you had to confess that it's been 2 weeks. She just held up a test.
I got a little too rowdy on my mountain bike, so now I'm paying for it.
Oh no. Okay, fracture of severe
Yeah,
status?
I learned what a scaphoid is, which I didn't know what that was before. Turns out it's a really fickle bone, and it's the bottom of your palm, and when you fall over your handlebars and you catch yourself, you hurt it.
Oh man. So what's your timeline like in terms of how far you're out?
Well, I'm lucky in that I don't need surgery.
Okay.
So, and I've been riding indoors. It's fine. And I can probably start riding outdoors here pretty soon. Just maybe not, like.
So we all suck because you're riding indoors even with a fracture. And, well, anyway, I guess I should get to the other schmucks who are probably not riding enough. Paul, how's your riding going?
Let's see, rollers, and I got a 2-hour ride today. Since Thursday I've been doing I did stairs, I think it was Saturday, with my wife, and and yoga, doing some Gabriel Benjamin yoga, because the guy has some awesome sideburns. He really does. So
I can't find my bell cue where I do the bell cue.
Does your wife beat you up the stairs?
No, she actually does more of the running part of it, but no, she didn't like my routine. She does not like intervals. No.
Karsten Hagen, not new to the show, but new in person. How's your riding life going, my friend?
I'm a long-time listener, first-time participant.
Okay, yeah.
Good. 9-10 hours a week. I'm mostly on Zwift. I'm part of the hashtag Basecamp training group.
What is that? I've been seeing that.
Yeah, it's a fucking great program. It lasts from hard to get into. You got to time it just right, and it lasts from November until March, and it's it's all base training, and it's basically just a way to get you ready for the season. It's run and owned by this guy named Tim Cusick. He's a pretty well-known and really good coach, and then Serena Gordon, some other people that we all know that are coaches in it, and it's been really good. Really good. I've gotten outside a couple times, but not really, not in Bend. Been skiing a lot too, so.
Not down.
Yeah,
down.
Alpine.
Oh wow,
Yeah, been doing a lot of Alpine. Yeah. Finally resorted to resort skiing this year for the first time in 10 years.
Wow,
tons.
Jackson Bolger, how's your riding life?
Over the last week, this is a weird thing that happened. So I was taking out the garbage the other day. Yeah, I know.
He does chores, everybody.
So I was taking the garbage out the other day. And I, something I usually do, walking on out, and here I am, tossing up the garbage into the gigantic dumpsters that we have. And I'm like, okay, we're good. I walk away from the dumpster. And I feel this weird tweak in my neck. And so I'm like, that's odd. It'll be fine. I'm 21. It'll go away. The next morning I wake up. It didn't go away. And it was like 10 times worse than it was the night before. So to make a long story short, yesterday was the first day that it didn't hurt. And it happened on last Wednesday. So
oh shit.
Where I did one Sufferfest recovery ride, and then I finally rode today because I'm feeling a lot better. So who would have thought that taking out the garbage kept me off my bike for so long?
Wow.
But I've been getting in what I can for when I feel okay. So, yeah.
Get used to it, dude.
That's like
it's
every
just gonna
other
get worse from now.
other week for an old guy.
Yeah, I get mine.
Tying
when
your
somebody
shoes.
calls my name and I turn my head to say what, and that's where it.
I know.
It's just like,
I lifted up my
we call
trainer
it Batman neck in my house, but yeah. You what? Sorry.
I lifted up my trainer today and I set it back down and I was like, I gotta be careful because I can't have another
Oh yeah.
thing that happens to me.
All right. Now's
I'm sorry. This is so cute.
him. I know, hurting himself at such a young age. I know, right?
Yeah.
So, Jack Broadhead.
Is it really that big a deal?
Jack Broadhead.
2 rides in 2 weeks.
You've been doing 2 rides in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
That's
about 4 runs, 1 ride. I know. We gotta,
your ratios are out.
Ratios
of whack,
are out of
but we'll
whack,
give it to you.
but-
We'll give it to you, man.
But there's a big difference between like, I don't know, maybe a month ago doing 0 and then
Yeah.
being active every day almost.
Right on. To kind of sum up everything, I've actually been more productive than I have been in a long time. I got 5 rides in this week, so I just want everybody to just soak
Outside?
that in.
You want to
Outside?
slap?
No, of course not outside.
Oh, so
yeah, they're
pretend
all
rides.
inside.
Okay.
They're all right. They're all inside. But I did 2.5 hours on the trainer on Saturday, and
Wow.
had fairly interval-based trainer effort on Saturday. So I just want everybody to know that I'm cooler than you guys are. Does anybody have any big events or anything planned this year? Is there anything in terms of what you're participating in, and not necessarily, for example, on Mariah, you're probably covering some events, and I hope you are, and things like that. But are you planning on doing any big rides or any kind of racing type of efforts this year that you got on the horizon?
Yeah, so I was supposed to do a bunch of really big, cool stuff last year. All of which obviously fell through. One of which was Leadville, and because I deferred it, I get to race one qualifier for free and then do Leadville next year. So I'll go to Texas, do a race there, and then do Leadville next year.
Is this your first one?
My first Leadville, yeah.
Is it? I'm not just. I've done it. So if you need any tips on how to really suck, let me know.
Did you get a buckle?
I have done a Leadville. Yeah, I did it. Oh my God, I don't know what year again. What's that?
Buckle.
Oh, I do have a buckle. Yeah.
Nice.
Barely, but I have a buckle, and I thought it should be around here somewhere. No, I was going to put it into the bar here and put it into the, but I didn't.
You
And
probably
so
wear it.
I put it. No, I'm not a buckle kind of a person. I'm not a belt buckle kind of person. I feel kind of weird with them on. I don't know. Is it just me? Everybody, I'm getting some looks.
I've heard that you walk around the house just wearing the belt
Just
with the
wearing the
buckle.
Just the belt.
Can't really confirm the source, Jackson, but I think that early Sunday morning
Yeah.
you've been seen doing that.
I
Care to answer to that?
I thought everybody was sleeping.
Well, we weren't.
Yeah.
Very good.
It's, so anybody else got anything on the horizon? Any events that's like this is happening? It's going to
RPI?
happen.
Doing
What?
RPI.
What's RPI?
Rebecca's Private Idaho.
You are.
doing it.
You are indeed.
Yep.
And you're in.
I got an in to get in.
Ooh, look at you.
No, not really. I'm just talking shit. No, I haven't registered yet, but I totally want to do it, and I don't think it's. I think I can get in if I register tomorrow,
When's the deadline?
September. Oh, I don't know when the deadline is.
I think it's the end of February. I think it is.
Well, it's February 3rd.
No, I'm just saying. I think it's the end of February.
I plan on registering tomorrow. Yep.
I'd do that one. That one actually
do it
sounds
together?
like a
You
lot of fun.
wanna-
I would do that one. Jackson's nodding from his apartment.
What if we
in
all
Portland.
do that? All of us.
What was that, Jay?
I said if it's in September, I love it.
Yeah, he's free then.
Paul's saying no.
No.
Paul's saying
Aren't
no.
you buying a dirt bike?
A gravel bike?
No, dirt bike.
No.
I heard you're buying a dirt bike.
No.
All I know is I think it'd be wonderful if the Packfiller all got together and did an event together, because the shit talking would go next level.
Yeah,
We're doing that. We're doing that in
So would the
March.
whole-
That's
Horrific
true.
comparison.
That's true. But
Up
this
at
is
my
like
place.
official. This
Yeah.
would be, no pressure.
I'd do it. Paul, come on. We just got to get you. Paul, everybody's doing it. All the cool kids are doing it.
Everybody
You
grab
wanna-
your drink because there is one thing I'm going to do in September.
Paul, if you want to sit at the cool table.
Oh.
But
I know what he's going to do. Tour a balloon.
Yep.
There we go. We got
There
a
you go,
drink
drink.
whenever Paul says tulip. There. Okay.
So there you go.
So and that's still on the roster. It's still going to happen.
Schedule. Everybody's push everything back.
Oh my God!
Yeah.
And September has just become the race month. I mean, that's even happening in the pro calendar that I'm seeing a lot, where everybody's just trying to pick these specific dates. I saw some reports from the UCI today talking about the fact that everybody's trying to just gel in the same weekend, and it's just not going to work. There are only so many dates, and
the
I think it's gonna
UCI
become a
calendar did it
disaster.
last year.
Well, no, I'm saying they're trying to do it
Yeah,
again this
yeah.
year, and it's not going to. I don't think
Yeah.
it's going to work. But oh God, you know what? Speaking of which, did we have anybody else who's doing a really cool event? If not, I'm going to just jump straight into it. Let's just jump straight into it, shall we? Let's get to the news, shall we? Oh, you know what? Before we begin, crap. There was something I really wanted to mention, and I wanted to bring this up, and I don't want to bring the show down, but before we begin. I don't know if everybody knows who this person is or knew who this person was, but we lost a great one for all of us who are old in the cycling scene. Former Olympian and team time trial world champion Bunky Bunkaitis Davis.
Heard that one, yeah.
She passed away on January 29th at the age of 63 after a 7-year battle with cancer. She represented the U.S. in 5 world championships, taking home the team time trial in '92, along with teammates Jan Boland, Jean Gole. Oh my God, these are names that I haven't said in so long. Eve Stevenson, and in the Olympic Games in Seoul, South Korea, and was the first alternate for the Games in Barcelona. She was awesome. I loved watching her race, and I just wanted to take a moment and everybody raise their glass to Bunky Bunkaitis Davis. Talk about a legend there. So there we go. Now I guess I could probably go to the news. Should I play the theme again? Yeah, I'll play the theme again. Okay, let's get right to it, you guys. This past weekend, Belgium was invaded by the Netherlands. Let's be honest, it was definitely invaded. Cyclocross Worlds were held, and that audio was a little hot. The Dutch decided to bring their squad of perfect human beings. The sand was deep, as was the orange on the podium. So let's break down this weekend's events. First off, and I want to ask this to Anna Mariah, because you might have an insight into everything that's going on with all that. So, is cyclocross a mandatory, regulated, participating sport for the Dutch and Belgian children? I mean, it was just absolutely a blowout.
It was pretty funny. It was like there's only 2 teams playing, the blue and the orange. Ironically, when I grew up in Holland, I did not ride bikes other than transportation. I played baseball. And then when I came to the US, I started racing bikes. And I was like, wait a minute. Someone did that backwards. So, it depends on where you're from. I was from Northern Holland, where that was not a thing. And if you're from the south, closer to the Belgian border, clearly that was a thing.
It was a thing of art. Does anybody have any perspective? And I'm cool with anybody barking in on this one at any time as to why this was such a dominant force by primarily the Netherlands, but also the Belgian riders were in there. But why this was just such a specific. These 2 countries are completely crushing things right now. Was it the course design? Was it the this year in particular? Was it the fact that how COVID has affected their country? Whatever it is, what was it that made it so absolutely unbelievable?
I'll say one thing. Watching the coverage, it became clear that a lot of riders were comfortable with the beach.
Yeah.
That a lot of other riders might not have been, and the Dutch riders were super comfy with running and riding in the sand.
They must have had a training camp at the beach.
Yep.
It was unbelievable. I've never seen so much sand.
It was deep.
Yeah.
It was insanely deep. Yeah. I haven't seen it.
There were also no barriers on this course, which I thought was hilarious, or interesting. No
true.
Jumping over barriers.
I didn't even pay attention to that fact. I can't believe that I didn't even notice the fact that they didn't have to bunny hop any barriers this year.
When I was 100 pounds lighter, I enjoyed racing cyclocross. That's actually the last time Jack and I saw each other.
Yeah,
30 years
100
ago.
pounds later.
Yeah.
Well, let's make this a big reunion for you guys, shall we? Should we? Yeah, and please keep coughing into my
Sorry,
microphone. So
I'm
there's no
sorry,
big
I'm
deal.
sorry.
It's an audio show. It's
something I
fine.
hate.
Yeah. So, or use the casket to cough into all the stuff I've given you from the show.
Okay.
So let's start broad, you guys. Talk about the host location. I've heard good things and I've heard bad things. I've heard some people complaining about the course and how it was designed. The things that you might have observed throughout the entire event or things like that. The 21% ramp, the sand, the lack of barriers that we were talking about earlier. Is there anything anybody saw that stood out either as this is a great element to the course, or this is something that was absolute just for show and BS? I mean, let's be honest. I posted a photo of the men's elite race with David Hasselhoff running in the background because they're riding in the ocean.
I'm just glad you didn't put that Barry Sanders thing in the background.
I was
with his
thinking
mittens.
Oh yeah. That's
tired of
Bernie.
that.
Yeah, Bernie Sanders. Barry Sanders.
Barry,
was the football
excuse
player.
me.
Yeah.
Baseball too.
Yeah. Baseball.
No.
Okay. Any comments in terms of what you saw or anything you noticed? I don't necessarily want to create a mass barrage of people talking over the top of each other. But if anybody has something,
let's
please
start
let
with
me know.
somebody that really knows.
Yeah. So we should always just go straight with the pro, and our Mariah should speak first. So we're throwing you under the bus here.
I'll say one thing about the course. When I watched the first race, I was like, oh, this course looks terrible.
Yeah.
It's only going to suit a certain type of rider. But the more I watched the races go on, the more I appreciated it. And mostly for the fact that what is nice that it showcased that cross is unique. Like one year you're going to have a mountain biking course, another year you're going to have a pure power course or a climbers course or whatever, just like road cycling, right? Like in road cycling, you would have Dubai or Doha, Qatar, which was flat as can be, and that suits sprinters. And the next year you have Austria, and it's for climbers. And likewise, I like that in the last couple of years, the Cyclocross Worlds has been a very diverse venue year after year. So this year it was dominated by sand, and it was a power course and also sand riding skill course. But I liked it for that reason. It was very different than previous years.
I'm so happy to hear that because personally I enjoyed the hell out of all the races involved, and I read some comments and saw some posts of people saying that there were elements of the course that diminished pure cyclocross. And I mean, I guess we're always going to run into that with people saying, oh, back in my day. Sorry to look at you, Paul. But those types of elements had changed. Jackson, as somebody who's kind of new to, I mean, I don't mean kind of new, but I don't know how many cyclocross worlds you've actively been a participant, not participant, but involved within. Talk to me about your opinions and your thoughts of what you saw over the weekend.
Yeah, so this would be my third one that I've watched. I thought the sand was a really decisive factor to it all. Obviously, if you didn't have the ability to ride sand as well as some of the other contenders, you were not going to finish on that podium. I saw a post from Tom Pidcock earlier saying that he just didn't have the skill to ride in the sand. I think it was that of all the things, the sand was the worst, the thing that he was the worst at. And I think it really showcased that any rider who had that sort of weakness. And then I thought in a lot of ways, an understated part of it, surprisingly enough to me, was the bridge. It was 21%.
Oh my God! Yeah.
Every rider seemed like they just made ease of it, which I was blown away by. Sitting here on my couch watching these riders fly up 21%, I was a little shocked at. I very much agree, though. I think it was a course that was different from anything I've ever seen before, and you just had to be prepared. You couldn't really expect what was coming. Bad things, of course, happened to riders that weren't expecting things to happen. Celine Del Carmen Alvarado, the first turn, she hits the ground.
Yeah.
Blows a front tire. it was a race that nobody knew what was going to happen with, and I loved that.
That accident altered the women's race drastically.
Well, the women's race, let's be honest, was practically it appeared to be decided within the first 30 seconds of the event.
Yeah, but I think,
or at least a dramatic turn of it.
Yeah,
you
I think the winner would have won anyway.
Yeah,
she was on top of the game and stuff. But I think it'd be nice. It'd be a little more like lap 2 you'd be a little more decisive as opposed to was determined on that first corner, in my opinion. But
I don't think I agree at all. I think, if anything, that first corner was as normal cyclocrossy as
Really?
you get, right? If the rest of the course had been equally muddy, she would have made her way back. The sand obviously was deciding factor there. And then the battle between Lucinda, Denise, and Annemarie Worst, I mean, that was, anyone could have taken it up until that final corner. And I think because of that, it was very thrilling. And it was always going to be those three, plus Carmen Del Verano. Like, it was always going to be 4 of those riders in the front. The fact that Celine had a really unfortunate start was obviously a real bummer. But, yeah, I think it was always going to be those 4 in the front. And the same with the men's. It was always going to be a battle between those 2. And that's what's so cool about where they are right now, is that you can throw any course at them, like any feature, and it still would have been the same top riders, I think.
Do you think Sanakant would have had any type of an opportunity, or do you think that that she never would have been a factor going into this?
Not this year. I just think,
Really?
and she was pretty realistic about it too.
Yeah.
Like, she just wasn't going to be on the podium this year.
what do you think about Clara's? Because she got caught up behind that too, and she made a great comeback to get 4th.
She was. I mean, I was super impressed with how she rode in the sand. Sand is not a factor around here very much, and she mentioned beforehand that she was really worried about that amount of sand. So I was incredibly impressed that she made it all the way up to 4th.
Did you talk to her at all before this?
I didn't. No.
You did? Okay. She had a brilliant ride. I think I picked her a little higher up, but I cursed her, which is my this is what I tend to
picked
do.
her for the win is the
I
problem.
did, and then I tend to screw absolutely every rider's chances up. But
Shouldn't every Worlds be different? This extremely different every year. I mean, it, like what was said is still the best 4 riders at any Worlds and any Worlds course are likely going to be the top 4, 5, 6 riders. Should change every year. I've never seen a course where people are actually going downhill in the sand drastically different speeds. Like, some people flew down the hill.
Yeah.
Some people were cautious, and you can tell they're losing time going downhill on a straight downhill.
Yeah.
It wasn't a twisty downhill.
I think what we were talking about earlier, that people that practiced in the sand clearly did better this year.
Comfort level was-
technical, technique won this race.
Power.
oh my God, the amount of speed they held over that sand.
Like the men's race, it still came down to the same 2 guys. I mean, it still was the best people in the world adapt to whatever they're handed.
Yeah.
So,
Karsten, I love you, man, but you were the one of the people who told me when you were watching it, you were saying it's a boring race. It didn't turn out the exciting way I'd hoped it to turn out. What was your? No, I'm not bashing you, man. I'm not, but what was your concepts? What was going through your mind at that time that made that race unexciting for you?
I thought the women's and Anna-Maria gave me some really good arguments against this, but I thought the women's race was boring, and I thought the men's race was really exciting,
which I find incredibly interesting. Because that's something I definitely want to talk about as we get going here, because you're like Bizarro and I'm Superman, because you're the opposite of everything I completely believe about that.
one was predictable and one wasn't.
Oh yeah. So I'm good looking, and you're.
No, I'm Superman, man.
Okay.
No, you're Batman.
Bizarro.
I thought you were Batman.
Well, I am Batman. But
No, you can't.
don't
be
tell
both.
anybody. I can be both. I
No,
can be
so
whatever the fuck I want.
my deal was, I just you knew immediately that it was going to be one of those 3 on the podium in the women's race. You right away. You know, he didn't know exactly which one until the crash, really. But they're all wearing orange, and he just knew it was going to be one of them. You know, but the men's race, just with the flat and the crash, and you knew it was going to be one of those top. There's two things.
I'm calling you out on the women's race right now. I'm not calling you out on the men's race. So I need your explanation. I need you to step up to the microphone, Karsten, and tell me why you thought it was boring.
I just told you why. That's why. You could tell from the beginning. You knew who was going to. You didn't. You know, my only wild card was at the very beginning. I thought, God, Claire's she's gonna make the podium. I knew she was, because I wanted her to, and I knew within 10 minutes that it wasn't going to happen. And so after that, it was like, which one of the three riders in the orange jersey was going to win?
Yeah.
And that was my problem with it. Was like, okay, like, and then the crash happened, which made it a little exciting. But I don't know.
So if there's an Ineos top 3 in the Tour de France, you're okay with it. But if there was,
I was not okay with that at all. No, fuck no.
Well, I agree kind of with Karsten. For me, on the women's race, that made it unfortunate. The three that finished on the podium was no surprise.
Yeah.
But I'd like to see a little bit of a battle, at least 2 laps into it, and not have a crash on the first corner. That's my take on it. It was like
that sucked.
It was done. You know, it was going to come down to these 3, but you want to see a little bit of action. Yeah,
there could have been 4 or 5.
On the men's race, I still think that it because those guys, those 2 are so far and above everybody else. That's boring too.
Okay, before I get to the men's race, I want to ask the question: was Lucinda Brand the most deserving of this World Championships?
Absolutely.
Do we all agree? Everybody I see on Mariah nodding her head. I see Jackson.
Great ride.
He called it too.
He did.
Jackson did.
I believe Jackson. You get to go home with that win.
Mm-hmm. Can I just add one more thing to this?
Please do.
Debate. I think the difference why I guess I found the women's race so interesting was that I was emotionally so involved. Because mostly, this is the first in my life that I've ever rooted so hard against a rider, which was Denise Betsema.
Is it because of the thing?
The thing?
She got popped for doping and then served some bullshit 6-month suspension during the off season.
Okay.
And then she was winning, and I was like, no, like just like shouting, like I wanted Lucinda to win anyway. But then when Denise was leading for like the first 2 laps, I was like, it's just so bad for the sport. I think if a, tainted rider would have walked away with the rainbow jersey. Okay. And so I was so invested in getting, at one point anyone but Betsema onto that top step.
It's been done before.
Doping or
on the top step and doping.
Okay, so we're all happy with that takeaway, is what we're saying. That to see Lucinda Brandt win that was a well earned, well deserved race.
Yeah, she deserved it.
Can I ask about the shoulder bump?
She held her line.
Rubbing is racing. Jackson was about to say something.
NASCAR.
Rubbing is racing.
I saw it as a coming together, where to go. I mean, he was holding on to that rail. I personally thought when on reverse came in and she hit her, it was like, I didn't really know what else could have been done in that moment. And so it kind of all just, after that for me, just kind of exploded. And I was like, oh my God, this is what's going to happen now. This is how we're going to go.
It was strategic, but it was also, it wasn't, I don't think it was, anything was, there were no malintentions, there was nothing like that, where somebody was like going, oh, fuck you, I'm going to push you out of the way. It was, I'm trying to go for a line, I'm holding my line, and
they each had 2 different lines going in there.
We've all been there, and
Coeur d'Alene crit.
Can't force. You sweat me, bro. I almost fell and cracked my Pro-Tech.
But she shouldn't have fallen. I mean, it came to it came down to racing, and and she could have very easily leaned on her harder, and both of them could have gone down, or they would have stayed up. It's racing. It was almost not last corner, but
she didn't throw an elbow.
No, it was just
it's bike racing.
Okay.
And they didn't see it as such either. Like
No.
after the race, Anna-Marie was like, I fell because I didn't see it coming. Like it just, it's what happens in racing. There was no hard feelings at all. And in that moment that they hugged right after the race, like she actually just said as she's hugging Lucinda, she's like, "Hey, you were the stronger rider today."
Wow.
Like total respect, everything's cool. It's more the media and the people watching on the couch that like made it into something that really wasn't necessary.
I want to throw this out there. I thought the women's race was the most exciting race of the weekend. I'm just going to say that right now before we get into the fact that we're going to go to the men's race. All right. So, actually, you know what I want to do? Talk about Clara before we get to the men's race.
Good.
Talk to me about anybody who has some thoughts about her. Was that do you think that was the best she could do? Was that an amazing achievement for her? Was that, what do we expect from her in the future? We here in the United States see something good and we're like, I want more. Just like I want to supersize.
She's going to win within 3 years, and I think one of the reasons that she didn't podium was Anna Maria pointed out earlier, she doesn't have a lot of experience in the sand. We don't have anything in the Northwest that even comes close to that. And unless you are out there specifically training, I don't know if she was or not, but I kind of doubt she was doing it to the level the Dutch team was. It's just no way. We have one cross race in Portland called the Het Meer, and it's got, we've got a 100-yard section of sand, but it's not even close to like that. And I think you have to be ready for that shit, and and with a little more maturity, I think she's going to be a world champion.
Absolutely. I mean, this was her first season in Belgium.
Agreed.
Like, incredible. Like she went from like, "Hi, I'm new here" to like, "Hey, I'm on the podium." So, coming in fourth in the World Cup Series overall. That's an incredible achievement.
Yep.
Yeah. It warmed my heart quite a bit. And I don't mean that cheesy. I mean that in like, oh my God, the U.S., we have something to look forward to in cyclocross, because there's something we're either not feeding our children or there's something in our environment that we're not doing well enough, right? And I don't mean to bash on the States, but the level of this sport in terms of Europe versus everybody else is astonishing. And I'm sure it's the history, that does with the fact that, the sport has been just, that's where it probably was created and where it's been since.
Well, it's the same with road riding. If you wanted to make it big in the United States, you had to go to Europe.
Yeah.
Cyclocross is Belgium is the Mecca, and you go there, and Claire proved that she has the mettle to advance pretty fast. So to do it in 1 year, that's amazing.
I heard an interview with Ryan Trebon, I don't know, 5 or 6 years ago, where he was talking about why he did not like racing in Europe, and he said that it's because you have things like that 21-degree climb, 21% climb. We don't have that stuff in the U.S., and for her to adapt to that so quickly is pretty impressive. Like, it's way different over there. When I went to when I was in Belgium.
No,
I've been there. Have I told you?
Paul's been to Belgium.
Yeah, Paul's been to Belgium. Yeah.
When I was in Belgium last November and I was at a World Cup race, I could not believe the kind of shit that they had to do. It would have put most American crossers to tears. Those courses are extreme. They're really, really hard, and for her to adapt to that was mind blowing.
Plus, you got to remember they start when they're 6 years old. 6 is the earliest age that you can start racing. And they start at 6, and if you look back to like junior worlds, it's the same, Mathieu and Wout, and it's the same riders on the top steps then, and they just continue to develop up. And there's just not that kind of development here in the U.S. It's a total niche sport. There's just no funding, no upwards trajectory.
Well, Jose Beam, the journalist, she made a comment that people don't understand when it comes to televising cycling in Belgium. It's against a lot of charge. It is free to the public. So what we have to pay for,
really,
that is a federal law. So
it's the coolest country.
Like here, you watch football. There, you watch Sunday morning cyclocross.
Yeah.
Plus, it's a spectator sport. So when you go to Belgium, you buy a ticket to go watch the race.
Mhm.
An entire stadium, if you will, filled, like it's usually at like a motorcycle track or something like that, or a car racing track, filled with people there to watch and spectate cyclocross. And so the riders then get paid starting money, which is unheard of here in the US. You don't get paid for you will also get paid on where you finish, but you get paid just to show up. Why? Because it brings people into the stadium and buying tickets. And so the whole model behind the way the professional sport works is different.
So you're telling me we're stuck with Tom Brady and that kind of stuff, and these guys get first access to incredible bike races and better beer. That basically, I'm living in the wrong country. Shit. we haven't even got to the men's race, but I do want, and I do need to bring it up because men's race was a race and it happened on Sunday. We expected the Van der Poel battle, the duel. We got that. Did it? Carson's shaking his finger at me. Why are you shaking your finger, man? I'm the host of the goddamn show. What are you gonna do? You gonna bang
I'm used
a couple
to
pans together? And
in my world, I'm used to being heard, Pat.
I can mute your ass in a second, and it would make me giddy as a school child.
You're right.
That's it. That's all you want to do. You shook your finger at me. You killed the complete mojo of the show.
I think the battle for third place in the men's race was pretty fucking intriguing.
Okay. No, and we have to. But if you're going to talk about the men's race, you have to talk about the greatest duel of all time. Many people are saying it's the Ali Frazier of cycling. It is the Raymond Poulidou versus Jacques Anquetil or something like that.
I think one of the things about Van der Poel that really showed was that he's a pro mountain bike racer first and foremost, and I think that really helped him quite a bit.
Okay.
That's his whole, he doesn't talk about it much, but that's why he's a bike racer. It may be changing, but when he,
his dad and his grandpa don't hurt.
No, of course. Yeah, of course. But he is a damn good mountain bike racer, and when it gets really technical like it did, I think that really helped him in the long run.
Is that why he found the face planted when he hit the rut?
He did.
He tries.
That's why he was able to overcome that.
That's true.
Yeah,
So he gets up and gets right back going.
Thanks, Anna Maria.
So I think this is my take, and I'm going to start this off and have everybody else. I thought Wout, in my opinion, is more of a thinker. The natural Van der Poel is the most natural, gifted cyclist I've ever seen, in my opinion. I think Wout came and approached it where he put the pressure on like he did the week before, and forcing Van der Poel to make mistakes, which he ended up doing. His flat caused havoc because on the second lap, if you look, he allows Van der Poel uses he gets a gap on Van der Poel on the first lap. Van der Poel joins up and he sits on his wheel and he watches him, and he makes his move when he's at the strongest point, and then Van der Poel makes a mistake and then he flats. But then I think it's interesting, he shut down. Yeah, it was all in the head.
Yeah.
By the way, that was the only flat on that course in any race that entire weekend.
Yeah.
So, what the fuck?
Cycling, you got to overcome the bad times.
The only one.
Oh my God.
I thought that was interesting. That's the only thing I enjoyed about just watching the first couple of laps of the men. Other than that, then it was boring.
So you're saying it was not as exciting as the women's race, Paul?
No, I'd take the women's race after the men's easy.
Karsten, got anything to defend yourself, or are you just gonna cough?
Sorry about that.
I'm kidding. I love you, man.
Sure.
Except you're coughing in your pans and everything about you.
Yeah. The good looks, the intelligence.
Yeah, I hate that too.
That's jealousy.
Yeah, it is. It is jealousy.
I don't know. I just still think that because I don't know, like Anna Maria said, I was emotionally more invested in the men's race just because Van der Poel, when I saw him race live last year, I was hooked. That dude is so amazing to watch in person that I became a fan. So watching him race was pretty. I mean, I've been watching him race all year, but this one was special.
This might be a classic American, okay, cool, I want more, fast food kind of a mentality. This rivalry has taken over cycling in terms of the men's world right now. We saw it in the classic seasons last year. We're seeing it now in cyclocross, and we know it's going to spill over into next year. Is it too much? Is it taking away from cycling? I've heard some voices stating that it's all about these two now. It's ruining cycling for the rest of us, says everybody who raced against Merckx. Is it? Yeah, I guess I left it there. Is it too much? Is it too much? Anna Marai. Yeah. Oh, Jackson, go. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think it's too much. I think it's a great motivator, these two, I think that when we see riders like, I mention him all of the time at this point, but when we do see riders like Tom Pidcock coming through at such a young age, and reaching up to the level of these two, he was able to win one of the World Cup races. We see all of the Belgian forces coming up behind. I think it's a great motivator and a good carrot to place in front of these riders to grab. Who doesn't want to beat Wout van Aert and Mathieu van der Poel? That's awesome, and so I think that there's going to be a lot of new riders coming up, especially with some team shakeups and everything. I think it'll be interesting.
Is it the rivalry of all time? Is it the best one of all time?
There's another one too. Remember 1 and 2 in the Tour.
Who are you talking about? Tell us who you're talking about.
The winner of the Tour de France and number 2.
Oh, Pogacar and Roglic.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I can't. Don't ask me to pronounce them.
Okay. That's fine. No, you don't have to. I screw that stuff up all the time.
Producer and Producer.
So you're saying that's a greater rivalry of all time than the
14 years that these two have been battling,
or the.
Those guys
are Voldemort versus Pantani versus other. Yeah, I said Voldemort. I did.
Godefroot
versus Uldrich. Yeah. Godefroot and Merckx. Yeah.
Boy, I remember during the Tour, it was sure a big deal, and I think that it was heavily talked about. And those guys have been racing together since they were kids too. All I'm saying is it's not the only rivalry out there worth mentioning. I think the Dutch women's team is another example of some rivalries that. Sorry.
No, you're fine.
That were probably more friendly. The impression I get is they're more friendly, but they definitely exist. I don't know. I just think we're making a lot of it because it happened on Sunday, but I think there's a couple other ones that are worth mentioning.
Sure, but I think I think culturally we're making a big deal out of this. These two guys who are gonna, how long are they gonna keep going? The fact that it is a year-round rivalry is something to state too. The fact that it doesn't
started
shut
when
off.
they were 12 years old.
Yeah, I thought it was
that's
8. Yeah, I thought it was 8.
Yeah.
So it's deep rooted, and through cyclocross, they both graduated into road at the same time. We'll see how it pans out. I think they're going to go 2 different directions, and when it comes to races, maybe bunk heads during the classics. That's about it.
It'll probably open the door in cross as they go, road and mountain bike or road or however they do it.
Yeah,
they can't do a full season over and over and over and over forever.
Who knows? These guys are mutants, man.
Well, Van der Poel in the Tour, what would that look like?
He's going to do the Tour.
Is he gonna?
Yeah. He'll pull out.
He's talking about leaving for the Olympics.
Yeah. Oh,
knock on wood if they happen.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You guys, I got to shift gears because I have to, because we're 48 minutes into a podcast, and there are some things I need to talk about, and this primarily being a pretty damn big story here. And I consider this pretty damn good news. Women's Tour on Eurosport and GCN. The Tour of Britain and Women's Tour, the UK's most prestigious race, have today announced an exciting new partnership with Eurosport and the Global Cycling Network. Yes, GCN. 5-year alliance bringing the tours to millions globally through world-class digital platforms and channels. Can you tell I'm reading from a press release? And we'll see the women's tour produced for live coverage for the first time. So what we're seeing is an agreement for live coverage of some of the biggest women's events in the world, and exactly, they're a sweet spot working with Eurosport and GCN to also provide it potentially what it sounds like to the Discovery networks for those of us here in Spokane. I'm saying that because my wife and I just bought the Discovery app because she wants to watch Magnolia and HGTV. My wife she's lunatic. She loves design and stuff like that, and I'm going, wait, okay, on top of this app I now get to watch some bike races. So have you guys heard of this? And second of all, does anybody know about anything being available in the US? Because anytime I see GCN, I immediately go, cool, when are we going to be able to see it?
I already signed up for it.
You already did?
Yeah. It's half price through this month.
But what, are we going to get these races?
Yeah, you can see the list. Yeah, because the U.S. we're not getting any of that. Nobody's covering it in the U.S., so that's going to help out.
Yeah.
I think in the future too, you're going to start seeing GCN being a big Flow Bikes, which I have Flow Bikes. Everything I looked on their calendar, I was going side by side. No one's claimed to Rondeau and Flandern. Flow Bikes has Paris-Roubaix on there, but they can't do it because of NBC, and we know what NBC's doing.
NBC's in flux right now.
They own all the
Jackson's shaking
stuff.
his head.
Yeah. Peacock. Just thought I'd just trigger your son there.
Yeah.
Peacock.
Yeah.
So I'm all for it.
I have a question though. This is great, and I'm encouraged. But is prize money more equal for women now? Does anybody have an answer to that question?
I know the salaries are becoming closer to being equal.
That's more important, and so they can make a living. But prize money says more.
Sure.
Don't you think that TV coverage will hopefully help that?
I mean,
it's a step in the right direction. We can't slam it. Obviously, we've been trying to get it right there.
it's a question I'd like to get answered. Like, I'd like to find out if they're at least making progress toward it.
Can I ask you guys a couple of questions? And this is about media delivery in terms of the sport and how it's provided to us. And on Mariah, I love having you here because I know that you work in this industry, and how bike races are provided to us. We're turning into this what it looks like to be a subscription model basis for getting cycling content.
Unless you live in Belgium.
Yeah, unless you live in Belgium. Yeah, exactly. Which is great that we're gaining access to much larger races and more races and things like that. So I want to talk about the pros of it, but I also want to talk about the fact that the average person who might find out about bike racing, I remember watching John Tesh's musical soundtrack to the Tour de France in the 80s, got me excited about bike racing. Nobody's going to have that anymore. If Dad isn't a bike racer, Dad's not going to subscribe to a channel that watches bike racing. So what I'm saying here is, what are the perfect models of this, and what are the bad sides of this that we're looking forward to, and that we're going to see in our foreseeable future?
Well, obviously the John Tesh thing didn't help. So we got to try different.
Got Pat into the
Shame on you! I love that music.
Yeah, but
and
what I'm saying is that
myself.
format we need to rethink, because obviously if that's going to expose people to cycling, I think grassroots.
So the NBC model has failed, you're saying?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, just the way that America has broadcasted it, what we need to do is start at a grass level, like high school mountain bike leagues that we have here in the state of Washington. I think Oregon has that.
But no, I'm sorry, but you're talking about two different things. You're talking about participating in races versus being inspired by people doing races.
Yeah, and I thought that was the direction you were going.
I'm talking about TV, baby.
Yeah, we were talking TV, but that, you watched the Tour de France with John Tesh because you were into cycling, right? It didn't expand more people like, what is this great music that I have to You know,
People love watching football and baseball because they played it when they were kids. So the great thing about Nika's amazing, is that it's getting kids into bike racing much younger than they normally would have. It's mountain bike racing, but
got to start somewhere.
Got to start somewhere, and
wow, that came from Paul.
But,
what?
Yeah, but the thing is, I think Paul's point is that we're generating an audience, which is important, and then once that audience is generated, within a few years, the whole question of demand for subscription bike racing is going to become less of an issue.
Yep.
No, I think Pat has a really good point, actually. Because growing up, I was exposed to cycling on TV all the time, right? It was just on.
Yeah.
And so, like, you watch the evening news, and it would be like, news, whatever, weather, and sports. And sports covered soccer, tennis, cycling, field hockey, maybe. And, like, so you were, like, exposed to it every single day. And even if you weren't cycling for a sport because it was your main form of transportation and nothing else, like, you were still like, oh, this is intriguing, right? Like, my grandpa every weekend was watching cycling races. So, like, spending time with grandpa meant watching bike races. And so I do think that there's a point, like, that has to, like, exposure brings new people to the sport, even if they never pick up a bike themselves, but they become fans. But I think the TV model in general has changed. Like, I don't own a TV because why would I need one? Like, you have a subscription to Netflix and you're set. And I think the same way we consume news and everything else, it's all tailored for what you like, which is good because you can get exactly what you want. It's not good because it limits your exposure to new things. And I think so the sporting model with Flow Bikes and GCN is great because you get to see races you normally did not see. It is not ideal because, well, you're not bringing any new people in the sport.
Yeah. What, Jack's pointing his
but
finger at
the
me.
national. So unfortunately, we have about 4 seasons of national pastimes that are way ahead of cycling.
Yeah.
Here, so in Europe, when you have, you listed tennis, soccer, cycling. I would have it's Bender. I guarantee.
My dog is freaking out upstairs.
But I guess overcome that. I mean, you need unique in the U.S. kind of a unique bunch of weirdos that like intense sports that you don't see on Saturday and Sunday afternoon under normal circumstances. We get involved with it, and then our kids kind of get involved with it. Jackson would be a perfect example. It's like, Dad loves cycling. Take a look around. I mean, but
He's got a problem.
He has a problem because of you.
No, I have a problem.
You have a problem.
Jackson's saying Dad has a problem.
But now he has a problem.
Yeah, but he has a bike hanging by
What's
his
Jackson's take?
head.
Yeah.
Yeah. Jackson?
I think I agree with what we were saying earlier about how exposure is exposure. No matter what, I think it's good to see people laying their own eyes onto a bike race. I think that's gonna, whether or not they do, as we were saying, pick up a bike. It just matters that it's out there, and I think that it's funny. I'm actually taking a class right now that talks about media and society, and about who owns what, who has access to what. Yeah. The only thing that I think is tough is making access to these things so difficult. I wish there was a perfect world where America wasn't so obsessed with their beating the hell out of each other's sports, but such is life. That's where we are. I think that's the only difficult part for me. But I'm happy that we're able to get these events out there in whatever platform we can.
Another thing that Americans need is a hero. America got super behind cycling because Greg LeMond, and then again it was Lance Armstrong. Women's soccer because of Mia Hamm and Megan Rapinoe. Like, you need a hero for everyone to start following it.
But if that's not in the public eye as much because it's a subscription based model, are we going to lose that? And I'm the glass half empty guy in the show, so I'm the one who's going, we're fucked. Everything's going to turn into a shitstorm, and the sport's going to end, and
Well, I'm going to throw this out then.
Thanks, Paul.
Then, because of soccer, you look at your son, that was his big push. Now, soccer was not really televised when he got into it, right? So I think once
it was.
not much. Not
English Premier League probably
not
not.
when he was younger. Not when he was younger. That
Jackson?
When I was younger, how it kind of ebbed and flowed was it started with the Fox Soccer Channel. That was oh my god.
Yeah.
You had to pay for it though. That's part of the package.
we never
Yeah,
paid
you
for
had
it.
to pay for a package for Fox Sports.
But
Anyway, go
We
ahead.
won't tell Paul that we actually didn't pay for it. We're just going to say
still
this.
okay.
This is
Go
just
ahead, go ahead.
Me speaking.
Sorry.
This is me speaking just specifically to Jackson on the podcast. Don't tell anybody, but we knew exactly what we were paying for and not paying for it. Paul's an old man. He still rides rollers. He still thinks that
Rim brakes.
he still thinks
rim
that
brakes.
he still thinks that casquettes should be cotton. So let's just keep going.
anyway, Jackson, sorry about the pause there. I don't know what happened.
Yeah.
No,
Dead air.
kind of how it ebbed and flows. It started,
Yeah.
like I said, it started with that Fox Soccer Channel, and then it went into NBC Sports, which then
Yeah.
kind of limited our access to it.
Yeah. So, okay. In other words, cycling's doomed in my world.
So
and
based
we're all
on
gonna
the hero thing, so
Yeah.
what if the lie wasn't discovered about Lance? Would we be in a totally different position worldwide and with cycling heroes if that wasn't discovered? If he didn't admit it, if he didn't do a comeback, I mean, the comeback was the biggest mistake ever, was win 7 tours and then decide to come back to the tour. If that wasn't discovered, we'd be totally different position right now.
Mm-hmm.
There'd be all kinds of, I mean,
Wow. Yeah.
Comebacks are never good for sports.
well, it exposed it was. I think a lot of people.
Everybody
were like,
who's watching Tom frickin' Brady this week.
well, he hasn't
Conor
come back.
McGregor.
He never
left.
Yeah,
Conor
he never left.
McGregor.
Us.
he got
I'm a comeback.
Muhammad Ali.
Jack Broadhead is
Yeah.
our comeback. This is a perfect opportunity
It's going to expose my
for me
earlier.
to realize that we're already an hour and a minute into the show. So, you guys, my point of that news story was this is a beautiful thing. This is great. We are now finally approaching the point where we're going to see some of these races that we have never seen before. We're going to see them live, especially these incredible women's races that I found watching replays that I was more excited in than some of the men's races, and we're going to see some great things. And I think we're at a point where bike racing is going to be provided. We're going to have a lot more access. Thank God. Before I get to the next story, I did want to ask: could you ever imagine? This is an audio podcast. Well, we're video right now, but could anybody imagine and follow an audio version of race coverage? Could that be something that we could get involved in?
I do it by default because usually when I'm watching the Tour or the Giro or whatever, I'm just listening to it because I'm working or doing yard work or doing other stuff. So like 3/4 of the time, I'm just listening, and it's engaging enough for me. And I bet a lot of people are like that.
I got used to Phil and Paul, and I got used to their excited voices. And when I would watch them live, most of the time it'd be in the morning. Really, I'd be sleepy. And I would kind of be in and out of sleep, and then I'd hear their voices get excited, and I'd wake up, and I'd suddenly turn to watch the TV. Is there a space? Is there an area for an audio broadcast? I'm Mariah, as somebody who is a journalist in this element. Am I full of shit?
You're just old.
Well said.
Oh
High five.
No, I think I watched women's cycling come up through Twitter. Like people watched whatever they wanted. They wanted to watch races and they didn't exist, so people were just following Twitter. Like we would be out there. Like when I first dabbled in women's cycling, was like just hashtag whatever the race was and just like tweet the live action. By if I'd be in the cars, it was like whatever I was getting from race radio. So I was literally repeating what was going on via Twitter, and that's how women's cycling grew. So I don't, and now we've got coverage. And I think if we now go to audio, it's like taking a step back, I think.
Yeah.
Like people want to see the emotion, they want to see the riders. And while a lot of these commentators have a really big following, I think people really just want to see, their rider in action.
I agree that audio is a one dimension. If you're watching it and then there's somebody commentating, it adds a second dimension because some people you want to watch strategy or what's going on that they're not announcing.
It would take a special announcer, like with baseball games. Most boring,
How do you cover a long Tour de France transition?
You would have to have a shit ton to talk about. Track racing, you could likely do it.
Yeah.
I think I think Bob Roll could hold an audience.
Stories.
With a story. He'd have to talk about his taking a shit stories or something like that. Yeah, he'd have to fill with all that because...
exactly.
But as
3
long
weeks
as,
of filler.
As long as we're talking about a Howard Cosell of cycling, somebody that can really hold your attention for hours, it's possible. We just don't... I think Bob's the closest one we have to that yet.
Yeah.
I also find that I mean, the only instance I can really think of is in listening to a basketball game. You can listen to a basketball game and you're there with it and you're like, oh my god, this is so exciting. But then when you actually lay your eyes on it and you watch it, it's a whole different experience. So I think that I do agree. I do think it's kind of a step back because it's not the same excitement level. I mean, at least for me personally, that I get out of watching and seeing these riders.
I got one for you though. Like the only
Hey, nobody saw the burning of the Hindenburg, but somebody was like, "Oh my God, humanity!" Yeah.
No, so professional.
Wow, that was really insensitive of me, wasn't it? Too soon, right?
Totally. Yeah. Major League Baseball is about the most boring fucking thing you can possibly watch. But those announcers,
they're amazing.
They're amazing, and they can keep an audience. And a lot of people with baseball just listen.
Yeah.
So it's possible. Yeah.
But what generation, though? Not to play up the old thing too much.
No, you started with that, so we're going to hold you to it. You punched me in the gut right out of the gates, and I just understand. Understand. But you're right.
I'm just saying, Instagram and everything else, people will just want images. No one wants to read. No one wants to listen, except for maybe podcasts.
Yeah. We are a visually oriented society.
It's a good recovery.
No, she is a good recovery. But I mean, we get a very large audience who sit and like to watch this. Me. Staring at a camera, being not even staring at the camera or something like that. We get a good amount of our audience.
Why do they do that?
Because we are a visually oriented society. We have become a visually oriented society.
I think
it's not my good looks.
I think it's adding another dimension.
Yeah.
It's like trying to understand a text from my wife sometimes when she's texting. I'm thinking, is she mad?
Yeah.
And usually is a a good case.
She's German.
Start with mad.
But, it's one of those things you can... But if you have a visual, and that adds another dimension to everything. So, I think we would be... I think we've all agreed that's going backwards other than Pat.
No.
He's a broadcast.
We
have a combined age of...
Jackson needs to say something, and he's going to back me up on this. Jackson, please help your old man out.
Well, I feel like a reason why, especially with a platform like the one that we are on currently, I think that when you listen, you only get to know the person that you're passionate about to a specific level. Seeing them feels like an interaction almost. I know I'm sounding like I'm giving a TED talk here, but it's just a different type of interaction that we get. For instance, if I listen to Paul or if I listen to Karsten, I would only know their voices, but seeing their faces is it's almost like a conversation.
Okay.
And so I think that's a thing that we as a society now want. We want a closer interaction, especially now in a time where we don't get those interactions anymore.
Ooh. I believe there's a mic drop right there. Besides, I did have people say, wow, after coffee and comments this Sunday that we posted on YouTube, I posted on YouTube, somebody said, wow, I've heard your voice for so long, I didn't realize you had a face, and I think they were disappointed. So before we get to the last segments of the show, I need to ask Anne Mariah, if first of all, have you watched Stars and Water Carriers? She has not. So we're going to do Professor Paul segment last because she hasn't seen it. So we're not going to throw her under that bus, right? Okay. She hasn't done the homework because we didn't assign it to her, right?
Yeah.
So here's what we're going to do: is we're going to finish off with some fun. And our fun is thanks to our friends at Gooder. Affordable style, function, and fun. Check out all their offerings at Gooder.com. Everyone's jumping on the blue light blocker bandwagon. Blue light blocker bandwagon. That's a hard sentence to say. But Gooder has them beat, and Jackson's got them on right now as I speak. So I'm going to go with personal goats. All right, our fun game for the night. It's not competitive. But everybody's got to answer rapid fire because we've got a very large panel. Okay, Carson's giving me kind of a winky look like he's got to pee or something like that. Okay,
terrified. That's a terrified look.
No, this is good. No, we're going to judge you, but we're just going to ask you.
A lot of judgment.
So we're going to go. Mariah gets to answer first. Jackson gets to answer second. Paul, Jack, Karsten, and then you. Okay, and it's rapid fire. You got to go quick. You can't provide me with a story. We don't got time for a story.
Stories.
All right, now I know you got stories. Okay, so first question: best bike you've ever owned? On Mariah.
A Ridley Crossfire.
Ooh, Jackson.
A Trek Madone 2.3.
You are such a sweetheart. I bought that for you, Paul.
My BMC I'm riding now.
BMC you're riding now. Jack Broadhead.
Don't say Allsop.
Oh, fuck. Pugliargi track bike.
Pugliargi track bike. Yep. Kirsten Hagen.
My current.
You had to say that. Speak to the mic. That big red thing in front of your face.
Specialized. Fuck you. My current. I'm going to say this in all honesty, and this because I've had several of this brand for various.
Here comes the
various
story.
reasons.
This is a quick
This
answer.
is a story.
My current giant TCR Advanced SL0 with ETAP and KDEX wheels is the best
is your
bike
sponsor?
I've ever-
You are so well paid for what you do. Shit you not, man.
What sells it lines his pocket.
I didn't bring that up at all,
No.
and we don't need to.
No.
If I ever leave the company, that's the bike I'm going to keep riding. There's nothing like TCR geometry, and I've definitely ridden a lot of Specialized bikes, and they're
It's a quick answer, Carson.
They're noodly.
We're going on.
They fucking suck. But
Rapid fire, Carson.
Yeah.
Rapid fire. Okay. Mine's the choach on the picture you saw
the
beside
red
me when I was
choach.
speaking in Coffee and Comments that Carson thought I was a French rider on today. Best kit you have ever seen in the professional peloton. On Mariah.
Anything by Canyon Trim.
Oh, nice.
I agree. Yeah.
Paul?
I will go with Super
Jackson?
Conflex 8990.
Oh, Super Jackson.
Jackson.
Oh, Jackson. Sorry, I skipped Jackson. I was excited.
EF Education First Zero kit.
You like
Black
the
Rifle
duck
Pass.
kit?
I loved it.
Oh, Mariah's shaking her head on an audio podcast. She's like, no! but Jackson's, he's young. We'll forgive him. Paul, you said Super Convex. Yeah. Jack Broadhead.
Either Panasonic or Hitachi.
Okay.
I can't, one of the two.
Karsten, like 2 words, man. 2 words is all I'm giving you.
Usually I'm the one getting in trouble.
Yeah.
Thanks for being here.
the brand new EF kit that spells out the UCI regulations for
yeah. It's
what is
so
such
good.
an absolute fuck you to the UCI. It's perfect.
He rambles.
Yeah. Yeah, this is...
Pat Bulger, Lavi Claire. If you could only ride... No, I'm going to skip that one because we're out of time. If you could only own one bike, what would it be? On Mariah.
It'd be do-it-all bike. So like a bike with enough clearance to ride gravel or some easy single track and be fast enough on the road. Probably titanium custom.
Ooh, Ty. Jackson Bulger.
I'm thinking the Trek in Monde. It's got quite a bit of tire clearance.
You're turning into a Trek guy on me. I see that. Okay, Paul.
What's up with that?
What I'm riding now
Jeez.
What you?
My
Wow,
BMC
you
road
are
bike,
such
yeah.
a loyal.
with
Loyal!
rim brakes. Yeah.
You are a loyal man. Jack Broadhead.
Schwinn Beach Cruiser? I mean, I if I'm going to ride it till I'm 80, got to have something I can put my leg over.
All right. So you want the sloping top
Yeah,
tube? Okay. Karsten Hagen.
Same answer.
Short.
Same answer.
Wow, he stuck to. Oh my God.
You shamed him well.
didn't even think of my own answer. It's going to be a gravel bike of some sort that I can switch out wheels with.
You're rambling.
Disc brakes. So I'm going to go. I'm going to go forward. Perfect cup of coffee. The most perfect cup of coffee that you could ever have right now, sitting in front of you. Mariah.
Oh man, that's what I have every morning. Like in my chimay, a little just black coffee. Nothing else.
You're a black coffee. Oh. Jackson Bulger. Here we go. Opposite end of the spectrum.
Caramel macchiato.
Just a mocha.
You lie like a rug.
I have that every morning.
He's maturing.
He is. He's poor. Paul Main.
French press like I have every morning.
Yeah, I'm getting into that. Yeah. Cream or just straight?
No.
Straight.
You don't.
Yeah, don't insult the coffee. Jack Broadhead.
Doppio espresso.
Karsten Hagen.
French press that I have every morning with layered superfood creamer.
Ooh, what is superfood creamer?
I don't know. Doesn't belong in coffee.
Non-dairy.
Is it keto? Keto?
It's
Keto.
It's
Red thing.
It's doping basically.
Okay.
Doping creamer.
Perfect.
Answer, Pat.
You know what? I have always been a double Americano, two straight shots with about 8 ounces of hot water on top of it.
Perfect.
But it makes me too shaky, so I'm back to French press. I could drink 3 cups of French press and be fine. I don't know what's wrong with me. I'm a coffee snob too. I am a coffee snob. Okay. I got. How much time do I got? Oh my God, we're at this point. Perfect post-ride beverage. The last end of the ride, if you could have anything in the world served up to you, long ride, 4, 5, 6 hour ride. What would somebody hand to you? You'd be like, oh yeah. Right.
A pale beer.
Ooh, no specific brand, just pale. Pale ale. Okay. Ale, yeah, or pills, not what ale or lager.
I would take either one,
Okay.
as long as it's light.
Okay, Paul Main.
Jackson.
Oh, Jackson, shit.
That's your son.
Hi, Jay. Love you, buddy. So glad we had you.
I will take I'll take a nice, lovely, cold bottle of Scratch Recovery.
Oh, fuck me.
Hey, you know what? I wonder why he's faster than I am.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah, exactly. Paul Main.
As our social media promoter, that's my personal answer.
Yeah,
Well,
that's
yeah,
good
exactly.
call.
Yeah. Paul Main.
That would be a Eyinger Brauweiss.
Oh,
It's a Hefeweizen out of Germany.
okay.
Been to the brewery. Anyway, go ahead.
Keys 3 and 4. Jack Broadhead.
Maybe a Space Dust IPA.
Oh, wow! We're all raging out
All over the place.
Jackson. Karsten Hagen.
With Anna Maria, it's got to be very, very light, like a very pissy, and it's really the only time I like this kind of beer.
Pissy? You were going to say pissy.
He was
I
was
did.
gonna
I
say pissy.
Thinking it, but I didn't say it.
I know you said
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
You actually did say it.
Did I really?
That wasn't your inside voice.
Yeah, it was.
Just very,
I
very
don't
light pale, or wheat something, and it's got to be fucking cold. I don't care what time of year it is. It's got to be cold.
All right.
Pat?
You know what? I was going to...
Short answer, buddy.
Oh. Beer.
That's a good one.
An athletic brewing non-alcoholic.
No.
Yeah, I was. You know what? I do like
Thanks,
those after
media
rides.
guy.
I do like those after rides. I really do. But there have been times that Paul, we finished the ride and gone and had a what's the Belgian that starts with an O.
Orval.
Which has been delicious. Okay, last question, and this does not have to be a cycling-based response, okay? This tells me a lot about people, okay? If you could have 10 minutes alone with one famous person where you could be sitting across the table from them and ask them any questions, any person, living or dead, who would you sit across
Cycling
the table
based?
from? No, it can be anybody. It tells me a lot about you as a person. If who would be that person that you would sit across the table from and ask questions? Mariah.
Easy. It would be Ines Mulholland. She was a suffragette and a journalist and all-around kick-ass lady.
I like that. And Jackson's going to screw it up with like Adam Levine.
It's pronounced Levine.
No, who'd you pick, Jay?
I am thinking, Lionel Messi. I think it'd be super interesting to hear the best in the world for so many years, and just what comes with that.
I like that. Paul Maine.
I like to laugh, so Ricky Gervais.
Ricky Gervais. Really? Okay. You think you get him 10 minutes? You get him to loosen up enough?
Well,
he
he'd just be. I'd be wetting myself in laughter. It doesn't matter. Yeah.
All right. Jack
There's
Broadhead.
so many. There's so many. Oh. Is it too cliche to say like Barack?
No, it's not cliche at
Go a
all.
little Barack.
Karsten Hagen.
Mark Maron.
Really?
Yeah, because I fucking love him, and also he's such a great interview. He's interviewed so many people that I respect and admire, including Barack Obama, that I could get his perspective on them. So,
It's your turn.
You know what? I don't even think about the responses to these things. And you know what? I'm gonna probably destroy my listenership on this, but I would actually sit across from the worst man of all time.
Lance.
I'd sit across. I'd sit across the table from Adolf Hitler, and I'd want to know what the fuck he was thinking, and I would want to know how he persuaded so many people to do so many horrific things. Sorry, I can't believe I mentioned that person's name on my podcast. But
Pat, you're so impressionable. You'd walk out of there with a little mustache.
No, I wouldn't. I'm a good person, goddammit. So, without further ado, we do have to get to Paul's film segment, but I'm going to let Anne Mariah go. So, everybody, let's give a gigantic round of applause and thank you to Anne Mariah for making our panel somewhat legitimate.
Absolutely.
So thank you for being a part of the show, Anne Mariah.
Thanks for having me.
So tell me and tell anybody where people can find you, where people can follow you, what you've got on the horizon coming down.
Just follow me on social media. It's AM Rook on Instagram, Twitter.com, Facebook. It's all the same handle.
Okay. That's as simple as it is. Okay. Thanks so much for being on the show again. I always love having you on here, and I love your insight. Appreciate your time.
Thanks, guys.
Okay. Take care. All right, Paul Maine. Professor Paul.
Mm-hmm.
Talk to me. Last time we left off, we were all ordered to watch a specific segment of, and I don't have it down here in front of me. I had it here, but of a segment of Stars and Water Carriers.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me why we were asked to watch that specific segment.
Well, I think it's best everybody who did their homework say what they take out of it, and then I do my spin. So let's start with Jackson. Did you do your homework?
I did a lot of other homework.
All right.
I did.
Mm-hmm.
I did. I watched the entire segment. And I do have to say that I found it, again, I find it so interesting, number one, that I thought the soundtrack was stolen straightly from, what's the Kurt Russell New York movie where he was in the prison?
Yeah.
Escape from New York.
Yeah.
It was just doo-doo-doo, 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 doo-doo-doo. And but what I found interesting about it was the fact that it was dealing with the team sacrifice and the original tactics. And I also noticed a lot of other things, like the fact that these guys were pushing gigantic gears, and I found every part of it beautiful because I like to grind gears. Jack, are you just now looking?
I got confused. Pat, you sent out something, and I watched some other video that
I guess it's just between you and I.
Yeah.
Karsten has no idea what we're talking about.
No, I watched it. Actually, George Gibbs's dad sat us all down, me and Matt Pugsley and George and Scott Eckley, and we all watched it one night at their house, at the Gibbs house. And the thing that I remember about that movie, and this could be a different movie.
Now, mind you, this was a specific segment of that movie, but I would rather hear your opinion on what you thought of that specific segment.
Is this the movie where at the very end, Ole Ritter or Jamandi, one of them, takes his wheels off his bike and puts them in the trunk of his car and drives off? I fucking love that scene because
Well, same with Le Fer du Nord, the Hill of the North.
Yeah.
They all pack up.
Yeah.
No buses.
No,
You just slept in your car.
Yeah. Yep. All goes in the trunk.
Paul, tell me what was the reason for choosing
Well,
this?
since
for
it was
people
so popular-
like you and I who did the homework.
This seems to be.
Shut up, Jack.
I watched something else. I don't know what the fuck it was now.
Go away, bitch.
Well, the thing is, it shows a stage where we think in today's era that Ineos has got this train, right?
Yeah.
And if you look at Molteni, what they did, that started way back with Merckx. You have to have somebody who can back up that type of tactic in a Grand Tour.
Yeah.
And so you see that, and then you can see people like Emmanuel Fuente.
Cramping up.
Yeah,
I
I
watched.
watched it.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so
I
you
didn't
did watch
realize
that.
that.
Jack's
So
back.
Bataille hung on.
Yeah.
Okay,
Mhm.
fuck, I don't know.
So go ahead. Did you see it?
Well, yeah, I did. So I didn't see a lot of video of Bataille during Merck's era. More like when he started winning the Giro. So I was like, he was presented
like 22,
as the
23
new guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they dropped Fuente.
Yeah.
Dropped
Yeah.
him.
Well,
And-
Fuente threw a
He had a
gear.
mechanical.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right, and
Yeah.
then they showed him cramping and all that. But I mean, it was just again Merckx just churning away from away from everybody. Big gear, just pure power. I mean, it kind of highlighted the fucking Merckx wins again thing, and
Shocker.
and we didn't
Vanderpool, Woutvanger.
yeah, kind
yeah.
of like that. Yeah. So it was.
So my intentions on this is one, to expose that the tactic that Ineos has that we all think is a big deal is not. It's been around for a while. And then the face of the loser when you see old Ritter. This is the face of disappointment.
Oh, in the bed.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, we've all gone through that, and I of course thought of Roglic, and that time period. I can't imagine what he went through on that last day. But you're talking about the music. If you listen to the timing,
Oh, it
matches their
increases in tempo.
cadence.
Yeah.
It actually matches their cadence. It's
Oh my
dun,
God.
dun, because the smallest gear they could have is a 42.26. That's the smallest gear, and they're climbing the same climbs that we had that they race now.
5 speeds.
So
Yeah.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
5-speed. Yeah, Regina Ora.
The light stuff.
I know
So
I'm
there
running
we
out
go.
of time with you.
Yeah.
What's our assignment for next week, Paul? Man?
So I'll send
Professor
one.
Paul.
And now, for those who did watch it, this is
Thank you.
next year. The next year, it's not done by the same producer, but it's called The Greatest Show on Earth. I will send you the link.
Okay.
And Fuentes actually leads after stage 1 in the Giro, and Merckx is chasing him. And there is a section. There's a section in there where Merckx starts taking command, and then Fuentes fighting back. So
Okay.
I'll leave it there and let everybody.
My last question before we end the show then is are you ever going to pick a movie made in this decade?
Yeah, this is. I'm trying to get some kind of continuity here. I'll move up. I've got an idea for next week.
All right. You guys, I need to end the show here. I guess I do need to, and I need to tell everybody to subscribe to the podcast, get involved, tell us what you think. Check out Club Packfiller, which is just released now. All kinds of stuff coming to you thanks to our sponsors who are lining up. We're going to be talking about those every single week. Check out what we got on the website. We're selling products. Jackson's modeling them left and right. And thank you to our panel. Thanks to Mariah. Thanks to Paul. Thanks to Jack. Thanks to Karsten for being here in person.
Yeah.
Thanks to Jackson Bulger for being here online. Love you, buddy. And I guess I'm going to just say thanks to the listeners. You guys, we will catch you next week. Stay tuned. We're going to have a coffee and comments on Sunday for sure. We got it. That's off. I always do this. That's off.
Sunday breakfast ride with coffee and comments. That'd be amazing.
At the end of the ride.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what's crazy about this thing?